Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
Celebrating 9 years of podcast excellence, the King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. A rare wrestling-free Wednesday as I record episode 728 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. This is the King of Podcasts. Thanks for listening in. Subscribe to the show if you're watching on the YouTube channel, or you're catching the show at wrestlingisreal.com, where you can find the video for the show every week and the audio programming. It's all available for you. You can find where you can subscribe: Apple, Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And please make sure to go and shoot up there a 5-star rating and help out your boy. Help out yours truly. I could really use the help this time of year. That would be really greatly appreciated. On the program tonight, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to, you know what? This week, WWE gets a win. They're winning right now. They're doing really well. They've had a pretty good week when it comes to their programming. You know, they're getting debuts, they're doing returns, they're doing all the right things. The Bray Wyatt stuff is taking off. It's all good. It's very promising. Like, I will say, they're doing a really good job of that. And anybody that's complaining about, you know, saying like Monday Night Raw or NXT, no, it is what it is. Because you're still talking about a lot of things that have to be done. So we're going to talk about that on the program. Stock market doing really well, 52-week high. Rock talking to Nick Khan, some plans about the future of the company. Who knows what it's going to be? Some people are trying to say that maybe he wants to join the WWE board of directors or buy the company. Ring of Honor now has a final battle date. MJF and what AEW can be doing to get it back to where it is, back to its legacy. We're going to talk all about that here on the program. So I'm going to admit it's quite surprising that the company, for all these weeks, have been talking about main event issues. And I feel like they're starting to make a couple of things that will work. In terms of building out the talent that's going to be ready to give some momentum going into the new year, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season, I don't know. Like, we know they're going to be having returns back. It's obvious like Cody Rhodes hopefully will be back by then. We'll see Becky Lynch maybe at some point. Like, there's returns ready, you know, at some point, once we have injuries that are cleared up. That's one thing we have there. And then, you know, I'm just waiting to find out. We know Crown Jewel looks pretty good so far. They have, you know, when they added Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar onto the card, they definitely made that card much bigger and really just stepped it up. Now you got a dual main event. Pretty obvious. So that's good for what they're doing right there. And so far, Crown Jewel's already set up with. Now you also remember we got 3 matches because Judgment Day and the OC are set up for Crown Jewel. We're already going to get to that feud as well. And they're going to have some time to get that done before November 5th. 2 more weeks. You got Roman Reigns and Logan Paul. You can still have a little more time to set that up. And anyway, anything that has to do with the bloodline is money. It's more clear than ever. Every week, I just feel the momentum of the bloodline. It's now hit its apex. It's now hitting on all cylinders right now. To the point where you could just have Solo Sikoa and Sami Zayn out there, and that will satisfy an audience because they're into it. Very much so. The crowd's into it. The audience is watching. They're doing really good. And then we said Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley with no title on the line. Nothing at all, right? So you can have those 3 matches already set to go. A few more to set up now leading up to the show. Great. That's good for that show. It'll be an enjoyable show. And then you move along to Survivor Series, which we know we're already getting set up for War Games. And you'll see a couple of these trios teams probably team up with each other in War Games matches. And we'll probably have 2 War Games matches. We'll see what they're going to do. It's all very interesting. It's all fascinating what they have all set. I have been very critical of seeing that this company continues to succeed and make its way through. At this point, you can't complain. There's not much to complain about the company. I'm going to put up a positive headline. How often do I do that? I have to go back at it. How many times have I put a positive headline for anything on the program? Because sometimes I can make it very vague or critical or, it's things like that. I do it all the time. But this week I put a pretty much positive headline. The other things are always like to be a little controversial, a little bit of a trolling, things like that. You want to get clickbait out there, just like every good podcaster. So I do that. See what happens. Let's get into the stock. So third quarter numbers for World Wrestling Entertainment. Their shares haven't traded at the levels since summer 2019. And by the way, if you want to talk about the markets, they're tanking. They're horrible. At this point, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down into the 30,000 range. It was up at 35,000 or something like that, and it's just dropped. NASDAQ, all the major indexes are down. All of them. Worldwide. Horrible. Gold, down. Silver, down. And WWE is up. It's up. Amazing. And what are they doing right now? As I record the program, they have reached $77 a share. I mean, when you look at just the year that they've had, let me go back just year to date. Year to date, going back at the start of the year, January 4, they were at $50, closing at $50, opened at $49. And they just climb right back up. It's been a steady climb up. You get up $59 in March. You go to May, it goes up to 60. You get up to June, it gets to 67. Then it peaks up almost $70 in July. And then right around after the second quarter results, $73, and then it just makes its way up to 77 eventually. If this stock is invincible. I said it. The legacy of this. Now, there's a couple of reasons why we can think why it's doing this. And the story in CNBC talks about it. So they say this. Still, WWE is under the subject of acquisition rumor. So there might be somebody that might still buy the company. People are talking about that this is an intellectual property with a lot of legacy. Vince McMahon is no longer involved in the product, and it's a live sports product that has very similar recognition to UFC, to the NFL, the NBA. So somebody could just come in and put the money down to buy this company and know that they're going to have locked in. Now, I don't think they're going to do it yet. Like, if anything, if there's any more speculation, you'd have to wait and see what the broadcast deals do for 2024. But we don't know that yet. But we know the negotiations are coming soon, probably at the end of the year or early 2023. That's a matter of time. We'll see those coming in. But, I mean, other sports franchises have already been getting locked in. You know, you had NFL, you had college football, you had hockey, and plenty others that have been doing that as well. And then once WWE gets their deal, AEW will probably find out what their deal is, or we'll find out AEW's first with Warner Brothers Discovery and what that becomes. So the stock is up more than 50% in this year. They've never seen it like this since summer 2019. And by the way, the S&P 500, like the top 500 companies in the stock market, is down more than 20% overall. So everything they've done right now, they're just hitting everything. Their market capitalization, so the worth of the company right now, $5.6 billion. Incredible. Now, insiders in the stock market, they think that WWE could be sold. It could be acquired. And it could be before the company's next TV rights renewal in the U.S., which should be announced next year, mid-2023. And their current streaming deal with Universal's Peacock, NBC Universal's Peacock streaming service, expires in 2026. Now, they talked to some of the analysts out here, and they said that WWE is relatively insulated from consumer trends. 2/3 of the revenue coming from locked-in relationships with media companies. And the idea is that there will be high bidding for the rights to Raw and SmackDown. And You also had to talk about Vince McMahon's controversy, the fact that he had to step down, retiring in July. Of course, they had to bring that up. And, it's going to be interesting when we get to the year in review. I'm going to have to go back and talk about all this shit. Ugh. It's going to be annoying. You know that? I'm going to hate it. But we know we're going to have to get to that point. I'm going to have to go back, the year in review. And you know what? It's going to get to a point where, I don't know. I'm going to have to probably do a whole episode on it. And it's going to suck. But we have to. I have no choice. So those are good numbers. And then you look at the numbers for the ratings. They went against the NFL once again, 1.8 million viewers overall, and drew a very good 18 to 49 rating, 0.50. That's solid. So like whatever they did, they're doing something that's starting to get a little more juice into what they're getting for the audience. People are actually catching on to it. The Bray Wyatt stuff actually would be one thing. And then some of the other stuff they're doing, especially with Brock Lesnar coming back, these are the kind of things that make things work out. It's better. And that is an improvement. They're actually doing something where against Monday Night Football, they're finding a way to get their ratings back up a bit. They were able to go ahead and retain. Now, I don't know what the numbers, let's go and see what the breakdown was. So with that said, you're looking at a strong first hour. And it did decline throughout the show. Big drop for the U.S. title match with Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle. 1.94 million viewers for hour one, 1.85 for hour two. That right there is good. And the number went down because of 1.62 million viewers at 10 o'clock. That's solid. For them not to go and hold on to 10 o'clock because of the fact that, the game was getting down towards the line with the Cowboys and Eagles. So they were doing all right there. Like it worked out for them. So Broncos and Chargers, excuse me. Even though the game was kind of shit, it's still, it was one of those games, but I think one of the things is that people are watching, but you know what? It is tough to go and keep stretched out till 10 o'clock. There's not much they can do about that. Like the 3-hour thing is just going to be what it is. But those first 2 hours, solid. Solid. Unless you have something that's going to be absolutely definably, you have to watch at 10:30 or whatever it is to catch on. But I think some people might just tune out at like 10 o'clock. Like there's not a lot of things besides live sports. When you look at certain programming that is really popular, if you're watching on cable or network TV after 10 o'clock, it's just not hitting not like it used to be anyway. That maybe it's just some people, there's a trend right now on television where NBC and CBS actually considered dropping their 10 o'clock primetime hour and giving it back to the affiliates. And that might be something they'll do down the line. It's just speculation. But they could do something like that to see if it actually will work out for them. You never know. So we could see something like that, which would help out. But those numbers are good. And then you look at the numbers that they had for NXT, and NXT got what? 660,000 viewers against Rampage, which got, a little over around 750 or up to more to the 800,000 mark for a show that was not on Wednesday night. That's pretty good. And they did put a lot of star power on the NXT show and leading up to Halloween Havoc, but that's pretty good. For what it was, 1 week, that's pretty solid. We'll give them credit for that. And then you look past that, and that's like, those are all good numbers. Like, if you want to go ahead and make the case that they're doing better, yeah, they are. So, first, a main event story like this, like I said, if things are going so well for the company, in terms of business, in terms of ratings, well, now how about in terms of some good publicity and some good possibilities with one of their all-time stars, The Rock. So there's a story that came out, cage side seats. I'm going to go and bring this up real quick. The Rock, where now he is going to be promoting his movie Black Adam. That's coming out in theaters this week on Friday. I already bought my tickets. And he's had some interviews where he's done some of the press junkets, and he's been asked by a couple of people if he's the head of the table, which is one of those, tease questions to tease up to WrestleMania, which will be clipped up and will be used for WrestleMania's promos leading up to the Bloodline dealing with Rock. And then you have Roman Reigns and The Rock at WrestleMania in LA. which could very well happen. You get that right there set up. And that's just a small teaser. A little bit of a, Easter egg just to get you all started. Well, the other thing that we're hearing about now is The Rock has been talking to Nick Khan. He actually has spoken a bit to Nick Khan about a larger role in WWE's future. He's been asked about this. So Cage Side Seats talked about this, and that Dwayne Johnson revealed these discussions answering a question about joining WWE's board of directors or possibly buying the company. He was asked the question. Sean Reuter writes about this, and here's what we got. So Dwayne Johnson goes to BNN Bloomberg, a Canadian business news outlet, asked about the potential sale. And then The Rock said that McMahon would be open to selling. But now, Rock wasn't asked anything about the resignation and all the improprieties that came about it. He went on to describe the ideal buyer, a description that definitely could apply to him. He said this, quote, "I've known Vince for a very, very long time, and he's a businessman. I think the key, if there were a sale to the WWE, of the WWE, is to make sure that whoever acquires the brand of that property, you got to love the wrestling business. Of course, you can love the asset, and you can love everything that comes with it. But you got to love the professional wrestling business, because if not, you could see the writing on the wall 4 or 5 years down the road. What will happen?" The interviewer, Dave George Koch, asked Johnson if he would consider making a strategic investment or accepting the director position. And he said that he loves the wrestling business and that him and the co-CEO of WWE, Nick Khan, are both lifelong friends. He says that we've talked about this. We always enjoy that over a bottle of Terramana, which is the tequila that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, promotes. It's his brand. Quote, "I love the wrestling business. I grew up in it. My grandfather and my dad started here in Canada, where his father was born. And so I'm not quite too sure if a board seat is in my future, but possibly other things are in my future for sure." So that's what we got. This is all very good news. Because now, was there anything that was going on where Vince that maybe Dwayne Johnson wasn't going to get involved? But now the way the company is set up, Nick Khan, Stephanie, Triple H, now at the helms, maybe there's a thing where The Rock wants to come in, because it's obvious that we see that Triple H wants to bring in those people that were very much engulfed into the attitude era, and people that were very much good business minds that can come back in and help out. Here's a question. Does anybody think that, would there ever be a thought that if Dave Bautista wanted to, would he ever consider a company? I'll tell you, because the times have changed. Maybe that's something that could be considered. I'm just saying, I would never rule it out. As we always say with wrestling. So let's move right along. I can't go on for a long diatribe and just praise this company like crazy. Listen, they're doing great, as I've said over and over. So I don't really have a problem with what they're doing. And I'd like to see them to continue to do what they're doing. Really. Tonight's not going to be a big, long episode. I think we're just going to have to wait, because there's still things that are going on that we're getting towards the end of the year. We got a few more events coming up. We got Halloween Havoc coming up this weekend. I can go and do like a quick preview predictions for that before I get into some other news. We got a lot of matches on this card. So let's go and do some preview predictions on this. All right. Mandy Rose against Alba Fire for the NXT Women's Championship. It's a match we've been looking for a while. And I think we could see something where the women, that Toxic Attraction, might just drop off altogether. And that we'll just see them all move over to the main roster. Something like that could very well happen. Or maybe they're going to wait. But there's not much more that can be done down there. Just thinking, Mandy Rose has had this belt for a long time, the women's title, and Alba Fire could very well take, but maybe there's not. Maybe there's somebody else that's worth waiting to put the belt on. And maybe we wait until the takeover coming up in like WrestleMania time or Royal Rumble time, whatever it might be. But anyway, I'm going to still take Mandy Rose. Like, we can still think about it if something happens, but I think Mandy Rose will hold on, be NXT Women's Champion. Spin the wheel, make a deal. It's Grayson Waller versus Apollo Crews. I haven't cared about this feud. It's really been kind of just bland. This is like what a Vince feud would be like on TV. Very bland, not much going on. I mean, they've built a little bit, but I'm not interested in either character. I'm going to take Grayson Waller because they're going to probably continue to push him. Ambulance match with Julius Creed and Damon Kemp. If Julius Creed loses, Brutus Creed must leave NXT. And man, I'll just take Julius Creed. The Creed brothers haven't really got me much invested. And even Diamond Mine for the fact of the matter, really. We never really had much time to really identify and really just have certain stars stand out with their own kind of thing. That's what some of these factions are in NXT to me anyway. A match I'm looking forward to, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, Weapons Wild match. Want Roxanne to win. And Cora Jade did fine. A little bit flat on her delivery when she did promos over on SmackDown this week. Or on Raw, excuse me. To recruit Rhea Ripley to go ahead and take on Roxanne Perez, right? Oh, no, Raquel Rodriguez. No, it was Roxanne Perez, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so. And then the NXT North American Championship ladder match, Carmelo Hayes, Oro Mensah, Wes Lee, Von Wagner, Nathan Frazier. I'm going to take Wes Lee for the win on the ladder match. And then the NXT Championship, Braun Breaker against a couple of guys that are just a little bit smaller, tinier. But, hey, they bark pretty loud. And the moves that they do in the ring are pretty good, but they're small. Like, I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. But I don't see much here. I'll just say Braun Breaker wins because there's nobody else for Braun Breaker to beat. Because he got left. He's run through the entire roster. I don't know. So anyway, that show's coming up 7 o'clock. And that's this Saturday, it looks like. So there's that to look at. I'll see if I catch it. Might still have a college football to watch, but I'll let you know. Anyway, if I talk about it, we'll just bring it up on the show next week. So the story's been announced that Ring of Honor Final Battle is already coming into play, and I'm glad we're getting it. The only thing that kind of sucks is they're going to actually run it in the afternoon. I don't know why. But Tony Khan, in an interview, says that Ring of Honor will have one more pay-per-view, and that's Final Battle. And it was announced during Tuesday's AEW Dynamite at the University of Texas at Arlington, Saturday, December 10th, 4 o'clock start time. No matches have been announced yet, but we know that the same night, UFC 282 and the Heisman Trophy being awarded to college football's most outstanding player are going on that night. So I'm glad we're at least getting this. And also, Tony Khan, talking to Sports Illustrated, says that there will soon be great news when it comes to a weekly TV show for Ring of Honor in 2023. I can't wait. Also, we learned that Chris Jericho signed a 3-year contract extension. Great for him. He's doing well, and I actually like where Chris Jericho's working with the Ring of Honor gimmick right now so far. It's actually not been bad. And he's been very important, a pillar for that company when it comes to what he's been doing for the talent. Like, he's still very much relevant, and he's still working great in the ring. So I give all the credit there. One more story I want to bring up. Deadspin did a story and talked about the importance of MJF when it comes to AEW getting back to what it does best. So here's a story for Deadspin, titling MJF is going to bring AEW back to what it does best. And he talks about Sam Fells here, that long-term storytelling has always been the company's bedrock when done right. You know, MJF is pretty much starting to come across as a face. And he's going to be a great babyface when he does. But right now, MJF is one half of the company's soul, he says. The dark half. And maybe John Moxley or Hangman Page. Hangman Page might be the other side. By the way, glad to see the Hangman Page came out okay after the lariat that he took where he fell on his head. They're already saying that it looks like he's okay. Probably has to go through concussion protocol. We hope he comes out of it fine. Unfortunately, the match did not go the way it did for that championship match on Dynamite last night. But anyways, Moxley's the first big import from the other side, who follows the true nature of the industry, and especially AEW, brawling and jawing his way up to the top of the business. Now, MJF is the brains, while the dignity is John Moxley. That's according to him, Sam Feldt. And so they're going along with this, saying that no great moment in any company has come without the two extremes facing off against each other. Hulk and Andre, Rock and Austin, Bryan and the Authority. And AEW's done a lot of things in the past year or so. But MJF last night, bringing it back to what it does best, they can do going forward. So MJF, William Regal, and MJF, when he does promos like this, bringing in real life into the account and really personalizing it, it's incredible. The anger, the vitriol that he had towards William Regal, and then William Regal just coming back at him. It's another back and forth promo attack that's just fantastic. And I mean, they went on 10 minutes. Remember what we felt when MJF and CM Punk had their first promo together? Kind of felt like this. And there's a lot of questions to ask. Is MJF going to make himself worthy of the Blackpool Combat Club? Is that something we're going to have down the line? Into another faction? Like, I don't know. But MJF and William Regal together is magic. It's wonderful. MJF recounts the story about auditioning for Regal at WWE 7 years ago. Regal pulled him aside, assured him he would have a job if he was old enough, because MJF was only 19. And then Regal spurned him only a few months in. So he refers to this as another Joker origin study from MJF. The matches work with CM Punk. The fact that MJF has competition for his best promo at this level tells you everything. The heartache Regal's dismissal caused the sense that was all lost and nothing mattered, and MJF still became the driving force. The bow it caused to toss out any sense of decency or morality in his rise to the top. It is a great backstory for MJF. It's wonderful. And telling it on TV. So these guys working together, and moving along, Seinfeld says that MJF is taking AEW to where it always has done best, long-term storytelling. Well, they've been doing that. I mean, the Blood and Guts match where you're dealing with Jericho Appreciation Society and, the Inner Circle and the whole breakup with that was actually quite good. The way they kind of culminated with it. And unfortunately, we're starting to hear things that Santana Ortiz are no longer a team anymore. So it looks like they're going to split up. And it looks like that Santana Ortiz is going to go separate ways. And that's unfortunate. But what they're going to decide to do. Now, with every Miro, Malachi, Punk, Cole, or Danielson that showed up in AEW, the more it looked like the place to be. Not just a flash alternative, but something with a true foundation that would last. The pops and buzz are a big reason it looks set for the long haul and has such a dedicated fan base. Right. The legacy of AEW is really of the stars they brought in from the beginning. Anything that has involved Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, MJF, Sammy Guevara, that's what you think about. And he says it's not perfect, the company, but they need Eddie Kingston in something. What's going on with the TNT title? Why isn't Samoa Joe threatening someone's life every week? And there's more to it. You're right. There's the whole thought process that they need to have some more consistency of certain stars being out there every week. I understand that part. But they don't want to go and put more into Rampage than what it is. And because they want to have a variety of different things going on. So it's not the same thing every week going over and over. And I understand that part. That's what I do like. And I think that's where it's going to stay. But like I said, if you have these ultimate storylines that are going on that really stand out, this is what we need to have more and more. So that's what it comes down to. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. We'll keep it at 30 minutes. That's all we're going to do tonight. Thanks for listening in. Finding the show as you always do. Come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us. Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast. You can find all previous episodes at WrestlingIsReal.com or subscribe to the show on all major podcast outlets, including Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at King of Podcasts, and search King of Podcasts on YouTube, or type youtube.com/JBRASCO951. This has been a presentation of the King of Podcasts Radio Network.